Okay, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We are going to get started in just a moment. Oh my goodness, no wonder. Let's take a moment to ground ourselves, to take a deep breath. We've made it past the Seders of Passover. We're still in Passover. We've not passed over Passover quite yet, but we are enjoying the moment. And we are going to start off with a nigun to get into the Shabbat spirit. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da. Yay da 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 da. Yay da 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 da. Yay da 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 da. Yay da 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 da. Yay da da da. Yay da 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 da. Yeah, die, 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 die. So for our friends on Zoom, you may have noticed that you now have the opportunity to have closed captioning so that you can hear the words that we say. And so when we sing Nigunim, you're going to see a lot of yai, die, 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 die. And that's just kind of how that's going to go. And hopefully for the English, it will be helpful and a little bit more accessible. And for the prayers in Hebrew, just know that whatever the closed captioning is for our Hebrew prayers, it's not going to be quite right, but having it for the English feels important. So we are going to continue with the lighting of Shabbat candles, and it is my pleasure to invite Ann Anderson to help us welcome in Shabbat. The blessing will be found on page 120.
I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English, no Hebrew, no semantics, and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity for love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu v'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadikir Shem Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. We turn to page 131 as we sing Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash, sing unto God a new song. Shiru Ladonai oh Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash, Shir Ladonai oh Shiru Ladonai Shir song I will sing to you. Song. Sing along. Oh, the enemies sing to God. We are on page 138 with the words Lecha Dodi, and we continue greeting Shabbat. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Hala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekavela, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Hala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekavela, Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad, Yishmiah el ha-yuchad, Adonai echad, U'shemo echad, V'shemo tiferet v'litihila, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Chala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekavela, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Chala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekavela, Likrat Shabbat, V'chu v'yochad, Yihi mekor ha'beracha, Merosh miketem yesucha, Asok ma'aseh b'machshavat tefila, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat Nekavela Lechadodi Likrat Vela B'nei Shabbat Nekavela. Please rise in the ways that you're able. Boi v'shalom ater gam b'simcha ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. We remain standing as we turn to page 146 for the words of Baruch Hu. Yai, 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 yai. Yai, 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 yai. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach ve'olam va'ed. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Lie, 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 lie. We turn to the next page. Please be seated. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Borei Ovalayla, Borei Mipnei Choshech, Borei Choshech, Vechoshech Mipnei Or. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Page 151. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Elohim Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Elohim Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha Veshinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shiftecha b'beitecha, uvlechtecha v'derech, uv'shokbecha uv'kumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha lema'an tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Lihiot lachem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem Emet. It's my pleasure to invite up Susan Amaro to share with us a reading on page 159.
Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles and earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come. Song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more. The song of the world redeemed, the song of peace.
Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? Ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha ne'edar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot, sefelet, Nora tehilot, oh sefelet. Who is like you? Adonai, who is like you? Adonai, ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. We turn to the next page as we pray for rest. We pray to experience a Sukkot Shalom, a shelter of peace for us, for all of Israel and all of the Jewish people, and for all those in our world. Give us a place to rest, Adonai. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai haborei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai haborei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Amo ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Yerushalayim amo ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Baruch atah Adonai haborei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. We now come to tefillah, the core part of our service. I invite you all to rise in the ways that you are able, and we turn to page 164. Adonai, sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, Eloyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chaste Avot Vimahot, Umevik Ula Livnei Bneihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagin, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Abraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor leolam Adonai, mechaye hakol atah rab lehoshia, morid hatal, mechalkel chayim bechesed, mechaye hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofei cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach, melech memit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, benemanata lahachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, ukadoshim b'chol yom hallelujah selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please take a moment for your own personal prayer, and once your prayer is complete, feel free to be seated. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu Bechol HaShalom. Ki atahu Bechol HaShalom. Shalom Rava Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת Yishlomecha. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. We are on page 180 for the words of Yehu L'Ratzon. Yehu L'Ratzon Imrefi Ve'yon libi lefanecha Adonai Suri Adonai Suri Yehu L'Ratzon Imrefi Ve'yon libi lefanecha Adonai Suri Adonai Suri Begohai Begohai. So before I share the story that I'm about to share, I want to give a little bit of context because we are going to be telling a Hasidic story, which means that as with many different Hasidic stories, it is going to be referencing some important people that I need you to know about. Namely, the big one is the Baal Shem Tov, also whose actual name was Rabbi Yisrael ben Eliezer, who was a rabbi in the late 1600s to early 1700s, who is known as the founder of Hasidism. He was a Jewish mystic and healer, and our tradition passes down a lot of stories, not just about him, and not just him as he was doing his travels in Ukraine and the Eastern Europe, but also of those who were his students or followers. And we're telling this story, and you might think, but we're not Hasidic Jews. What are we doing? Telling a Hasidic story. And the reality is that while there are people who identify specifically as Hasidic Jews, Jewish mysticism, Jewish spirituality is all of our legacies. The stories have meaning, and the stories have things that each and every Jewish person can take from. And so that's part of our legacy as well. And so we will hear a story this evening. This story was actually recorded by another Jewish scholar, Martin Buber. That story had been passed down and passed down and passed down, and he wanted to write it down to make sure that we had it, that it didn't get lost in the shuffle. When Rabbi Wolf Kitzes took leave of his teacher before setting out for the Holy Land, the Baal Shem Tov stretched out his second finger and touched him on the mouth. And he said, "Heed your words and see to it that you give the right reply." And he refused to say anything more. The ship on which the Baal Shem Tov's disciple, Rabbi Wolf Kitzes, had taken passage was driven from its course by a storm and forced to land on an unknown and apparently desert island. Presently, the storm died down, but the vessel had suffered so much damage that it could not go out onto the sea immediately. It needed repair first. Some of the passengers, Rabbi Wolf among them, went ashore to have a look at the unfamiliar foreign landscape. And the others turned back after a while, but Rabbi Wolf was so deep in his meditation that he kept on going and went on, and finally came to a big house built in an old-fashioned style, which looked as if no one had ever lived in it. Only then did he remember that the ship was not going to wait for him. He was about to turn around when all of a sudden, a man in a linen garment appeared on the threshold of the house. His features were age-old, his hair was white, but he stood tall. "Don't be afraid, Rabbi Wolf," he said. "Spend Shabbat with us. The morning after, you'll be able to resume your journey." As in a dream, Rabbi Wolf followed the old man to the bath and prayed in the company of 10 tall, majestic old men and ate with them, and Shabbat passed as if it was a dream. The next morning, the age-old man accompanied Rabbi Wolf to the shore where his ship was anchored and blessed him in parting. But just as Rabbi Wolf was hurrying to set foot on the plank to join back on the boat, his host asked him, "Tell me, how do the Jews fare in your country?" Ribono shel olam lo ta'azovotam. The Lord of the world does not abandon them, Rabbi Wolf replied quickly, and then he walked on. Not until he was on the high seas did his mind clear. And it was then that he recalled the words of his teacher, and he was seized with such bitter remorse that he resolved not to continue his voyage to the Holy Land, but to go home at once. He spoke to one of the members of the crew and gathered from his reply that actually he was already going back in the direction of home. And when Rabbi Wolf came back to his teacher, the Baal Shem Tov, his master looked at him sorrowfully, but not angrily, and said, "That was the wrong answer you gave your father Abraham, our father Abraham. Day after day, he asks God, 'How are my children?' And God replies, 'I do not abandon them.' But if only you had told Abraham about the sufferings of exile." This week, we told the Passover story, and we tell the Passover story with joy and with hope and with proof that God is on our side and with us always, and that God listens to the cries of the Israelite slaves, and that God is here for us. And sometimes that doesn't always feel authentic to us. It turns out that our people, when they were slaves, when they were wandering in the desert during various times throughout our history, felt as though God had abandoned them. And our biblical stories punish them for sharing this feeling. But just because in our biblical stories it says that they should not be feeling that way, does not mean that our Jewish tradition suggests that that's not an authentic or true way to engage with Judaism and with God and with the world. We have this story as proof that it is authentic and in our tradition to wrestle and battle with the narrative that you're always supposed to say, "Well, God's on our side. Everything's fine. Everything's good. How are you doing? I'm fine. Thank God." We're actually allowed to feel abandoned during difficult times, and we are allowed to be mad or sad about what's happening in the world. In fact, sometimes those are the responses that are more honest and more true than anything else that we say that seems like it's the right answer. So as we move on through Passover and through this Shabbat and through this month of the, well, actually a little bit more than a month of the Omer, I encourage us to think not only about what, quote unquote, the right answer is, but what's the true and the honest answer. And it may be that not all of the time are we giving the honest answer when we're going through the grocery line. Someone says, "How's your day?" You're not going to unload. You're not going to tell everything that's going wrong in the world. But there are moments actually when it is okay and it is appropriate and it is sometimes vulnerable but important to share. The true right answer, which may be the honest one and the one that's a little bit more gritty and complicated. Can you hear its own? May this be God's will. With these words of Torah on our hearts and our minds, we think of those who are in need of healing at this time, healing of body, healing of mind, healing of spirit. If you are thinking of someone who's in need of healing at this time and you're joining us on Zoom, please feel free to type their name in the chat or to say their name to somebody else in the room with you. And if you are in person, please feel free to share the names of whoever you are thinking of aloud or in your heart as my hand passes over your section. For all those names that we've said aloud and those that we keep in our hearts, we turn to page 371 for the words of the Mishaberach. Yisher Be'erach Otenu Vekor so straight once before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Yisher Be'erach Vekor bracha with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirits, and let us say, Amen. So, as I mentioned, we are in a special time period, not only because we are in Passover and Shabbat, we are also in the time of the Omer, where we count up from day 1, which was before Shabbat started, to day 49, and then the 50th day is Shavuot, and we are marking the journey from redemption and freedom from slavery to revelation at Sinai, and that movement from starting out the journey to freedom to truly experiencing the freedom that comes with being a people, having your own community defined, and receiving wisdom. So we are going to count the Omer, as is tradition. We are on page 570. And the blessing is in the middle of the page. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat haomer. Our praise to you, Adonai, sovereign of all, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to count the Omer. Hayom Yom Shtaim LaOmer. Today is the second day of the Omer. We are on page 586 and continue with the words of Aleinu. Please rise in the ways that you're able. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kamishpachot adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam. Va'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu. Bayom Adonai Echad Ushemo Echad. Please be seated. We pause for a moment to remember those who are no longer on this earth, but remain with us in our memories of them and in their legacies and the ways that they influence the way we walk this earth. As your loved one's name is read, please rise. We are in the period of Shloshim, the 30-day period since burial for Oleg Gurtovoy, remembered by Larissa Krasnovskaya. And this Shabbat, we are remembering the yard sites or the anniversaries of the deaths of the following people: Rebecca Brzezinski, grandmother of Hannah Brzezinski; Edith Korenblum, mother of Rosalind Citron; Meir Elchaim, brother of Suzanne Corbett; Shirley Lurch, mother of Phyllis Wood; Harvey Shack, remembered by Herman Rosenbaum; Graylin Tuggle, remembered by Richard Garcia; Margaret Vierk, mother of Pamela Ballin; Hilda Zell, mother of Sharon Sachs; Sheldon Jules Zimmerman, father of Sheldon Schwartz. We now invite all who are observing their first year of mourning to rise at this time. And we now rise as a community with our mourners and turn to page 598 for the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitzkadal v'yitzkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach lirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'vyomechon uv'chayei techol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lamei almaya. Yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitzpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitzaleh v'yithalal shmei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru, amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing, to which we say, amen. Please be seated. It's my pleasure to invite up Michelle Eisenbrecht to share words of announcement.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Did you notice our beautiful new sign out front? If not, be sure to take a look on your way home. Many thanks to Pranav and members of Scout Troop 153 for all of their hard work. Chag Pesach Sameach. It was wonderful to be together as a community again for last night's Seder. Thank you to all who worked so hard to make that happen. And I'm going to go off script because I know how hard everybody worked for the last couple of months, and it was so appreciated. It came off very, very well. Join Rabbi Zoe on Zoom this Sunday, April 9th at 11 a.m. for Torah study. There will be a Passover Yizkor service on Zoom this Thursday morning, April 13th at 10:30 a.m. There are 2 more sessions of Torah time for this school year, one on April 15th and one on May 13th. All members of the family, including aunts, uncles, and grandparents, are welcome to join in some multi-generational fun. Contact Rabbi Zoe with questions or to register. TBT has been blessed to care for a Holocaust Torah, but what is its story? Our free multi-access interfaith Yom HaShoah program, Telling Lost Stories, will be held on Sunday, April 23rd at 6:30 p.m. Guest speakers Karen Koblitz and Dale Bluestein will discuss their commentary, A Sacred Space, Rebuilding a Memory, about the Jewish community of Pakov and their Torahs. The evening includes a shortened service, a screening of the documentary, a conversation with our guest speakers, and an opportunity to view our special Torah up close. This program is appropriate for ages 12 plus and has a registration deadline of April 21st. Thank you to Ryan and Ancor from Troop 153 for managing the AV, and to Jack Samosky and Susan Amaro for representing the worship committee this evening. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. And thanks to Michelle for being our board rep this evening. We are going to continue with the theme of gratitude with some more blessings. We will start off with family blessings. So I encourage you to reach out to family however you define it. And if there's somebody who you are not in the room with but would like to send a blessing to, I encourage you to take a moment and hold them in your heart. And we hope that they are receiving this blessing, that they are feeling it as well. May God bless you and keep you. May God shine God's face upon you and be gracious to you. May God's face turn to you and grant you peace, to which we say, Amen. And now we will bless Kiddush and Motzi. Obviously, for Motzi, we will not have challah this evening because, alas, it is not kosher for Passover. However, if you have some matzah hanging around, I encourage you to go grab it. And the blessing for Kiddush is on page 123. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'atzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, hihu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'charta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim. V'shabbat kodeshecha, ve'ahava uratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh haShabbat. Amen. L'chaim. Now we'll say the Motzi. Wow, beautiful. Made in under 18 minutes. How wonderful. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon. We are going to conclude with one more prayer for peace. We always need it. Odevo shalom aleinu. Odevo shalom aleinu. Odevo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Odevo shalom aleinu. Odevo shalom aleinu. Odevo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu haolam. Salam, salam, salam aleinu haolam. Salam, salam. Odevo shalom aleinu. Odevo shalom aleinu. Odevo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Odiavo Shalom Aleinu. Odiavo Shalom Aleinu. Odiavo Shalom Aleinu. Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and Chag Sameach. Shabbat Shalom to our friends on Zoom and on live stream.